Welcome to the channel, and welcome to today's solo actual play of Hyperborea, Sword, Sorcery, and Weird Science Fantasy. For people who aren't aware of this game, this is a tabletop RPG inspired by AD&D, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, with elements of science fiction from places such as H.P. Lovecraft and Conan universe. So, with that, today we'll be going into a little dungeon delve with a 3-man party somewhere in Hyperborea. We have our party leader, Konar. He is a barbarian class. We have Matthias, our monk, and Lizelle, our assassin. They are each level 5, and they each have their abilities that will help during this game. So, before we get anything underway, we will go ahead and find out where we are in Hyperborea. And for those who don't know, Hyperborea's setting takes place on a chunk of flat world that orbits Saturn. It is basically a chunk of old Earth that the gods ripped out and threw out into space, and where many people started appearing on this land from various time periods. So you have people from Rome, Greece, and other time periods that appear on this world. So before we get started, we'll go ahead and roll some dice to find out where we are in Hyperborea. Roll 2d12 to determine the page number, so 12 and 4, 16. We'll go to page 16 and find out where we are. And page 16 is the Zangaris Islands. This is an interesting location. It is a port city of fishermen, cutthroats, and gamblers that are particular in wearing masks, especially in the port Zangaris. To go without a mask is considered indecent and can result in flogging or public humiliation. So we'll keep that in mind if we ever make it out of this dungeon. So now we have a location. We will now begin delving into this dungeon. It is just an underground dungeon that we've discovered that we're going to try and make some coin. So let's go in a little more detail on our party here. We have Konar, the barbarian. He has a striking resemblance to a certain barbarian many of us will know. He has a +2 bastard sword, a dagger, and a short bow. He has, an armor class of 5, and he is bold and adventurous for his characters. He has a total of 46 health. His mastery is in the bastard sword, and he wields it two-handed. Alright, and then Matthias He is of Anglo-Saxon descent. Konar is Cimmerian, which is a very to play on the Cimmerians of Robert E. Howard's world. And so Matthias, he is Anglo-Saxon, blue eyes, blonde hair, 41 hit points. He has some castices, empty hands, and long spear, and a light crossbow for his weapons. Armor class of 5 as well. And he is observant and level-headed for his characteristics. And lastly, Lizelle, our assassin, she is Lemurian. Total of 30 health. Blonde hair, blue eyes as well. Armor class of 8. She has a +2 dagger, short sword, and a light crossbow for her weapons. She is cautious and secretive. Also, I forgot to mention, Matthias also has 2 healing potions for his special items that he starts with. I each gave them a special item. In Konar's case, the Bastard Sword, and a +2 dagger for Lizelle, just to help him out in case there's any particular nasty monsters in here. So, with that, let's go ahead and begin. Alright, so let's begin with the party descending into the first chamber of the dungeon. Matthias has a torch lit to see into the darkness, as nobody has dark vision. And we'll begin by checking the door to see if it's locked and or trapped. So we'll begin by rolling D100. That is these are 2 D10s. A 77. Alright. Lizelle checks the door. It appears to be unlocked. And now she is going to check to see if it's trapped. She has a 3 in 6 chance to see if it's trapped. A 2. She decides doesn't look trapped to her. So now she's going to discern noise. See if she hears anything on the other side. This will be a D12. It's a 9. That is a success. And we'll go ahead and roll another D100 to see if there is anything on the other side of that door making noise. That is a 20. And as she cups her ear to the door, listening in, she doesn't hear anything. Nothing making a noise. So that she waves to the party and says, let's go ahead and go in. And with that, Konar is going to take the lead in case there is something dangerous in there. And with that, he opens the door. And as he pulls on the handle, swings the door open, a trap activates. A trap Lizelle failed to detect, taking our first mistake into this dungeon. So, with the trap being triggered, a hand axe comes swinging down from the ceiling of the door, slamming into Konar, dealing D6 damage right off the rip, as Konar takes 2 slashing damage from that axe. And that will bring him down to 44 hit points. But with that, he just takes a grazing cut, and he shoots an angry glare at Lizelle. She gives an apologetic shrug, and with that, they enter the first chamber. And what do they see? they see a long empty chamber, empty except for two grotesque dried up corpses strung up on poles. And with that, they go ahead. Matthias is curious, takes a closer look to inspect these bodies. So it's a D6, a 1. That's a good roll. Low is better. So the 1, as he looks over these corpses, he notices there's something odd about these corpses. They look to be tampered with, more so than being pierced on pikes. They seem to be cut open and then sewn back together. Weird piercing indentures into the skin, puncture marks that he doesn't quite understand. They don't look like regular, knife marks or arrow markings. They look very strange. He doesn't quite understand what they are. But with that, they take a look around, seeing 3 passages. A passage forward, passage left, and a passage right. Looking left, it's a hallway going down to another door. Same with the hallway in front of them. Leads to another door, while the right one goes around a corner. Konar, being a little, irritated by the last door, thinks we should go right, as he doesn't want to hit any more traps. But Lizelle correctly points out that hallways are perfect opportunities for traps as well. Konar gives a shrug anyways and says, let's do it. So with that, they go down the right passage. And what do they see? Looking down the hallway, they see a long passage, and just at the edge of the light of the torch, they think they see a door in the middle of the passage. So they decide, well, we've already come this way, we might as well keep going. But before anything, Lizelle's gonna take a look to see if there's any traps. So we'll roll another D100, see if there is any traps in this hallway. 36. Okay. And now Lizelle is going to detect traps. This will be a 3 in 6 chance. A 3. Lizelle starts walking down the hallway, observing the ground, floor, walls, and ceiling, and she says, definitely no traps this time. Konar gives a very suspicious look. Not quite sure if he believes her. But with that, he continues down the passage. And as they get to the door, so far no traps have been triggered. It seems Lizelle was correct this time around. Continuing on, they look further down the passage. They see a wall of bones and corpses. But it seems to be a dead end along this passage. So, Lizelle is once again going to detect and see if there's any traps. So, another D100 roll to see if there's any traps. 48. Alright. And then she checks. A 1, that's a success. She pokes around the door, looking for wires or any other trip wires. And then she decides, nope, no traps in here on this door. And she discerns that it is unlocked. So with that, she's now going to listen. See if there's anything going on over there. 6 out of 12. She gets it. And now we'll just roll D100 to see if there's anything on the other side. 61. 61. As she listens in the chamber, she hears some movement from the other side. She can't tell what it is. She can only hear some slight shuffling or noise of footsteps of some sort. And she discerns there's definitely something on the other side of here. Could be a monster or another human, if that's even possible. So, with that, they have to decide what kind of plan they want to do. Do they want to go in, or do they want to go down a different passage? So, we'll go ahead and roll for it. We'll roll a 3d6. 1 to 2, they go through the door. 3 to 4, they'll go up the middle passage. 5 and 6, they'll go left. 5 and 6, they decide to turn around and head back towards this door. Alright, the group goes back to the middle, or the first chamber, and then approaches the left side passage. Seeing another small, narrow hallway, they decide we better check for traps. So, let's roll a D100 to see if there's any traps there. An 88. Okay. And then a 3 and 6 chance. A 6. Lizelle, she's not too sure about this one. She says there could be a trap, there might not be. I'm not sure. I can't detect anything. So that Konar looking very nervous now. Not looking to get another hit. Decides, let's check the middle passage. Lizelle says, alright. And roll another die. That is a 66. Alright, and then Lizelle's going to check for traps down this hallway. 5. Once again, she can't tell if there's a trap or not. So, what's to do? What are they going to do now? They can either go back through the passageway and go in through the door where they heard movement, or brave one of these 2 hallways to the next door.
Konar's feeling very adventurous right now. So he's fixing for a fight.
While the other 2 are a little more, cautious. So they decide. So they discuss. They're going to discuss on how to do it, and we will roll once again. 5 and 6. They decide, let's just go down this passage, and if we trigger a trap, we trigger a trap. Very well, Konar says, and with that, they begin walking down the hallway. Konar takes the lead, being the tanky one he is, and as he walks down the hallway, no trap is triggered. Good enough. Good enough for the group. They continue on up to the next door. Let's roll D100, see if there's any traps or if the door is locked or not. 39. Alright. Lizelle's going to check the door, see if there's any traps. 3 out of 6, that's a succeed. She looks it over. This door is not trapped. She's certain of it now, and it is unlocked. So now she is going to see if there's any noise on the other side. 5 out of 6, or 5 out of 12, that'll pass. And roll a D100. The 12. She hears no noise on the other side of this chamber. So with that, they open the door and peer into the next passage. Upon entering the next chamber, they discover a small little room with 2 coffins in it and another hallway leading down further into another chamber, it appears. Seeing the coffins, they get a little excited. There could be loot in either one of these coffins. So Lizelle is going to do her thing, and she's going to check for traps. So let's first roll to see if there's any traps inside this coffin or anything else. A 29. Okay. And then a 3 and 6 chance to see if there's a trap. For the first coffin, it's a 5. She does not know if there's any traps on this coffin. So with that, she's going to go ahead and check the other one as well, just to get it out of the way. D100 roll, 61. And then a 3 and 6 chance to see if there's a trap. A 1. She looks over this coffin, and yep, she can definitely tell that this one's trapped. Seems to be some sort of gas that would set off. So she's going to go ahead and try to disarm that trap. It's another D6 roll, a 3 and 6 chance. A 6. Nope. No luck disarming the trap. So with that, she's just going to leave it there. And she says, we better not open this coffin. So with that, Konar is going to go ahead and attempt a test of strength to open this coffin. This will be a 3 and 6 chance. A 1. He easily pries the coffin lid open and peers inside. Peering down into the coffin, they discover a skeleton. As Konar goes to reach for its belongings, its eyes glow with a magical energy as it animates to life, and a battle commences. So with that, let's go ahead and roll for initiative. For initiative for Hyperborea, it is a D6, and whoever has the highest roll goes first, party-wise. So let's go ahead and roll for the party. That's a 4. And for the skeleton, a 1. So with that, the party will go first, and it goes down by initiative-wise, more or less, depending on their actions. So, Lizelle has the greater dex. So, actions. We'll do actions before we do anything. First things first, Konar is going to step back and draw his blade to go in for a melee attack, while Lizelle's going to move and then throw her dagger. And Matthias is also going to attempt to step back and pull out his crossbow. So, with that, let's go ahead and begin the combat. Alright, I forgot to check to see if they were surprised, so I went ahead and rolled that, and they were fortunately not surprised by the skeleton. And so we'll start with melee first. Konar is going to swing his bastard sword as he draws it from its sheath, and he's going to take a swing. So we roll a d20. That's a 17, and with a +5 to his attack modifier for having a mastered sword, a +2 bastard sword, and his strength modifier. That'll be 22, which is an armor class of -7, which will definitely hit that skeleton. So with that, we go ahead and roll for damage. It's a 2d6. I do not have a second d6, so I'll get that later. So 2d6, a 2, 3, so 5, plus an additional 5 damage. He has a damage adjustment of +1, +2 for the Bastard Sword, and +1 for being mastered, for an additional 5, for a total of 10 damage, for a hit points of 8 on the skeleton, as it quickly swings the Bastard Sword, cleaving the skeleton in half as it shatters to bones. Quickly dispatched, no threat. They kind of look at each other, give a relief, grin to themselves, and with that, Konar is going to check to see if it has any loot on it. Correction: skeletons take half damage from pierced and edged weapons, so with the main damage deducted, and then adding the +2 from the Bastard Sword, it'll deal 7 damage to the skeleton, and leaving it still alive. So with that, we go to Lizelle, who's going to throw her dagger at it. That's a 5. It's not too good. She gets a +2 for a total of 7, and that will be a AC of 10, which misses the skeleton. So with that, it's up to Matthias to shoot his crossbow. 16 +1 modifier, 17. That should do it with a -1 AC. That'll hit. And that is a D6 damage, which is enough to finish that skeleton. And then we check for loot. Alright. The skeleton has a class table treasure of Q, which only leaves a 50% chance of gems. So, go ahead and roll a 60. Unfortunately, there's no gems on this skeleton, as it is a bust. But they do get some XP for killing the skeleton. So with that, they decide, passing up the coffin, not risking wanting to find another corpse or set off that trap, they decide to continue down the passage. So, Lizelle's going to do her thing, checking for traps. So let's roll, see if there's a trap. That's a 24. Check my notes here. Hallway. Alright. Now Lizelle's going to roll. This will be a d6. A 3 and 4 chance. She can't tell if there's a trap down this hallway. So, Konar's feeling bold as he just took out a skeleton. So he's going to continue down the passage with Matthias right behind him. And as they continue down the passage, Konar steps on a trap. A plate sinks into the ground as he steps on it, and an arrow flies out of the wall, slamming into him for 2 additional points of damage, bringing him down to 42% or 42 health. So he grabs the arrow, rips it out of his arm, looking back at Lizelle again as she's starting to get nervous. If she doesn't start pulling her weight, she's not sure if Konar is going to bring her to the next dungeon. So with that, they continue on down the passageway, and they enter the next chamber. Actually, before they enter the chamber, Lizelle's gonna scoot to the front and listen around the corner, see if she can't hear any noise. So let's roll a D100. That's a D20. 79%. Let's see what's in that chamber. All right, and then a D12, a 4, Let's see, is that a success? I think it is. Discern noise, a 6 and 12. That is a success. And as she listens around the corner, she once again hears something shuffling in that chamber. So with that, they have to decide on what to do. Konar is going to swap out to the front with Lizelle in the back. And as they whisper, they decide Konar is going to rush in while the rest of them come up behind him and pull out their ranged weaponry to attack. So, with that, they gather their weapons and they give a countdown of 1, 2, 3. Alright, as the party goes charging in, luckily they surprise the creatures that are inside. Unfortunately for them, it is 2 cockatrices. A very dangerous creature in Hyperborea. So, with that, we go ahead and start our actions. Konar said he was going to charge in, so he's going to run at full movement. 5, 10, 15, 20. Charging at the first one, while the rest go moving in. 5, 10, 15, 20. 5, 10, 15. And then Konar is going to take a swing on the first cockatrice. A 15 with a +5, that's an unnatural 20. With a -5 AC, that will hit the cockatrice. And it'll be 2d6 damage +5. So that is 13 damage to the first cockatrice. And then, as he knocks it down pretty good, and I also forgot, it is a mastered weapon, so his attack rate is 3 and 2, which means he gets to make 2 attacks and then 1 on the next turn, or 1 attack and 2 on the next turn. So he's going to go ahead and make his second attack for this round, as he sees he's dealing with a very dangerous foe. A 10 +5 for a 15. That is an AC of 0, which will also hit the cockatrice as he goes running in, slashing wildly, cutting into the first cockatrice, and then taking another swing, dealing another massive blow of 12 damage as he cuts it down significantly in his first attack. And then next up, Lizelle, she's going to throw her dagger at the second cockatrice, as that's the only one she has pretty good line of sight on. So she's going to throw her +2 dagger, and that's a 2. Oof. That is a total of 3, AC 14. Her +1, her +2 dagger goes flying wide, back hitting off the wall on that behind the cockatrice, as she's lost her best weapon. And then she decides she's going to throw her second dagger, a non-magical dagger, just a plain dagger as well. She also has an attack rate of 3 and 2 with daggers. So throwing the second one, a 19, that's better. That'll hit, dealing 1d4 plus 1 damage. For a mighty 2 damage to the second cockatrice. And lastly, Matthias is going to shoot his crossbow at that second cockatrice as well. So, light crossbow, his attack rate is just 1 to 1, so it's just be 1 attack. A 15. Any modifiers? He's got a +1 modifier for a total of 16. AC 0. That'll also hit the cockatrice, dealing 1d6 plus 1 damage. 6 plus 1, 7. That's a good hit, as he deals 7 damage to the second cockatrice. And with that, the surprise round is over, as we now go to round 2. So, before we do initiative, we will decide on actions. Konar, he's going to keep swinging away at that cockatrice as he wants to put it down before he gets jumped by the second one. Matthias, seeing how dangerous these cockatrices are, he's going to run in and engage the second one in melee, rushing forward, while Lazelle's going to bring out her crossbow and continue firing at it as well. So since Konar ran in, he's going to have, I believe it's a -2 to his AC. I will double check. So with actions decided, we will now roll initiative. Let's go ahead and start with the party. They rolled a 5, which is pretty good. And the cockatrices rolled a 1. The party gets the initiative as they continue the fight. But before that happens, as they engage in battle and noise is made from the clash and the cocking of the birds, something stirs on the second floor of this balcony as a foul ghoul gazes down over the edge, now intrigued by what's going on here. Alright, keeping up with the action, Konar is going to continue with melee. So this will be just one attack this time around. Oh, he rolls a natural 1. That's not good. I'm going to have to roll to see what happens to him. Alright, a critical fail or a critical miss is rolled with a d12. And that's a 10. A 10 is, he is a fighter. He trips and falls. Oof, he is now prone, which will make him even more vulnerable to an attack from the cockatrice, as he already has a -2 or a -2 to his AC. Not good. So as he went in with a blind rage, swinging and cleaving the cockatrice, he realized just what he was dealing with and faltered and tripped onto the ground. Now we continue on with the rest of them. Next up is missiles. So Lazelle's going to continue with her crossbow, firing at that cockatrice. That's a 4, plus 1 is 5, probably a miss. Yeah, it's definitely a miss, as her first shot goes flying wide, as this battle's definitely becoming dangerous. So with that, she's going to continue to reload for next attack, while Matthias is going to go charging in to swing on this cockatrice using his monk abilities. So let me double check the rules on those. Alright, Monk drops his crossbow and goes running in with his Cassises, and he's going to take a couple blows. 2 strikes on that cockatrice. First one is a 2, that'll definitely miss. And his second blow comes flying in with another hand, we'll say it's a 10. That is, he gets a +1 to hit, bringing it to 11, AC 5, which is just enough to hit, as he gets a blow with his Cassises, dealing 2d4 plus 2. That's pretty good. Once again, I am missing my second d4, so we'll just roll this one. A 1, 2, so 3 plus 2 is 5, dealing 5 damage to that cockatrice. Alright, things are looking very dire indeed. With that, their actions are done. It is now the cockatrice's turns. So first off, we do melee. So this one is going to take a bite out of Konar. A 2, ooh, that is very fortunate. Fortunately, that bite still hits as he rolls out of the way just in the nick of time as a beak pecks at the stone floor beneath. Moving on, this creature here is going to bite at Matthias. Ooh, that's a 19. That'll definitely hit Matthias. And that will deal 1d6 damage to Matthias. As Matthias takes 1 point of damage. And the worst part is he now has to make a transformation save or be turned to stone. Not good. So transformation, he gets a +2 to his transformation saves. He has a save of 14. So he needs to meet or exceed a 14. Come on, let's do this. Let's go, Matthias. 13 +2 brings it to 15. He successfully resists the petrification of that cockatrice. Very dangerous indeed. That ends the attacks for the cockatrice. This ghoul up here, though, it is going to run, and he's going to run into this chamber here. Let's take a look to see if he sets off a trap by opening that door. D100, 67. The door is okay. So while the ghoul tries to crash through the door, it is not working as he can't get through the door. So with that, he turns around and climbs over the edge as he's going to jump off on his next turn. So with that, we will now go to round 3 of this combat. Actions. Matthias is going to keep hammering away at that cockatrice, while Lizelle is going to move in this direction to continue shooting and try to get behind it. Konar is going to stand up and take a swing at that cockatrice. So, let's roll initiative for the party. Oof, unfortunately they got a 1, and the cockatrice also gets a 1. Okay, so now we go to dexterity. The highest dex for Lizelle, she has a 16, while the cockatrice has a 15 dex. So with that, I don't think the ghoul has a higher dex than the cockatrice, but I'll double check. So far, the party will get the initiative. Alright, continuing the fight. The ghoul did not have a higher dex, so the initiative goes to the party. We're going to start off with Matthias, as he's just going to swing with his castices, or whatever they're called. Castices, his little knuckle busters. Taking 2 hits on that cockatrice. First attack, a 16 plus 1 is a -1 AC. That will hit as he does 2d4 plus 2 damage to that cockatrice for a total of 4, 5, 6 damage to the second cockatrice. Good hit. Keeping up the pressure, he's going to take another swing. For a 2, that one will unfortunately miss. Next up, Konar is going to stand up and take 2 swing attacks on that cockatrice. 17 will hit as he does 2d6 plus 5 damage. 8. So that'll be 13 damage, which is enough to take out that cockatrice as he swings wildly, as he stands up, cutting that cockatrice's head off, taking one foe down. And then we go to Lizelle. She's going to move 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right there. And she's going to fire her crossbow again. For an 8, she gets a +1. For a 9, AC of 8. Unfortunately, that one will miss, as she is not having any luck hitting these monsters. With that, the cockatrice goes next. Actually, we will have to check to see if it will try to run away. Alright, the cockatrice has a morale level of 7, so we roll 2d6. 6, 7. That is enough. It will stay and fight. So with that, it's going to take a bite out of Matthias. With a 13, that will hit, I think. Let me pull up the chart again. A 13 will hit Matthias, unfortunately, as he takes d6 damage for another 1 point of damage to Matthias, and another transformation save, or be petrified again. So, this will be a 14 to save. Oh, that's a 10 plus 2. Matthias, the unlucky, is now petrified, as the second peck scores an additional hit, transforming him to stone. That is very unfortunate. I'm going to double check to make sure there's nothing that could save him, but as it looks, he is gone. Alright, unfortunately Matthias has been turned to stone, turning this party of 3 to 2. And then continuing on, the ghoul decides it's going to jump off the balcony to attack its foes and get some food. It will take 3d6 fall damage for a total of 10, 11 damage to the ghoul as it lands on the ground. Breaking a leg as it lands. It's already looking pretty messed up, fortunately for the group. So with that, we will continue on to the 4th round. Konar, seeing Matthias turn to stone, is actually, we will now, let's go ahead and roll to see what their reactions are to seeing Matthias getting turned to stone. So I will roll on my table here. This will be a D100. So start with Konar. 95. Okay, so Konar, he wants to withdraw. He wants to defend and withdraw from the engagement, while Lizelle, she wants to try to save the friend. So they are now at odds. Konar wants to retreat, but Lizelle, she wants to at least recover Matthias's body, maybe bring him back to life if they can afford it in town. So Konar, not going to leave behind Lizelle, decides to stick it out. And with that, he's gonna go charging in on that cockatrice, while Lizelle is going to cautiously advance on the ghoul with her dagger. So, actually, you know what? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Alright, so let's go ahead and roll initiative. Let's start with the group. They rolled a nice 6. That's good. And the monsters rolled a 3. Alright, combat initiative goes to the party. Konar is going to go charging in, gaining a +2 damage to his attack. This will just be one attack. Rolling a 19, that'll do it. This will give him 2d6 plus 7. That's okay, so that's an 11 damage total. Pretty good. Dealing 11 damage to the cockatrice as it is now looking pretty bloody. Next up, Lizelle is going to move in on the ghoul, and she's going to try and stab with her dagger. Alright, this will just be... Actually, you know what? She's going to pull out her short sword and take a swing at that. She gets no benefits from this. So, 11. 11 is an AC of 6, which is just enough to hit the ghoul as she takes a swing with a d6 plus 1 for 2 for 3 damage to the ghoul. Alright. As that ghoul is looking even more hurt. So with that, continuing on with the monsters, we will start with the cockatrice, who's going to try to attempt to bite Konar. With a 12, that will hit on an AC of 3. That will hit Konar, unfortunately, as he takes d6 damage for 6 damage to Konar, bringing him down to 36 hit points. And unfortunately, he has to make a transformation save or be turned to stone. Lizelle might have to run away if her friend gets turned to stone. So, needing a 14. Let's see, does he get any benefits? He does get a +2. Come on, let's go. No! Oh, a 10. That is a total of 12. He needs a 14. Oh, this is not good. Konar, who wanted to withdraw from this deadly engagement, has now been turned to stone, to the horror of Lizelle as she sees her friends turned to stone before her very eyes. Oh, that's terrible. Moving on. Poor Konar. The ghoul, as it's already been engaged by Lizelle, it's going to go ahead and bite her. That is a 10. Let's take a look at the ghoul. A 10 will miss. Nope. That just hits. Just hits Lizelle. That'll deal... Let's see. Ooh. The ghoul gets 3 attacks. That's not good. So, we got... So, let's go. Okay, first attack hits Lizelle. Second attack also hits. And the third bite attack will miss, fortunately for her. So she takes 1d3 damage from the claw attacks. That's 2 and 1 for a total of 3 damage to Lizelle. Bringing her to 27. And then, even worse, she needs to make a death save or be paralyzed for 2d6 turns. Oh boy. Let's see. Lizelle needs a 14 or this party is unfortunately wiped out. Come on, 14. That's a 5. So she is paralyzed for 2d6 turns. Alright. She's paralyzed for 5 turns. So we'll start that down. As the claw attack paralyzes her as she falls to the ground and will now potentially get eaten, or maybe they will kill each other. So with that, we'll go into the next round and we will roll for the monsters. Alright, into the next round. The cockatrice is definitely going to attack the ghoul next. So it's going to go in and attack. For a bite attack, that's a 16. That'll hit, dealing d6 damage for just 1 again. Not enough to take out the ghoul as it is still standing. The ghoul, I think it is immune to being petrified, maybe. Paralysis and poison. I don't think that is considered petrification. So, we will roll to see if the ghoul is paralyzed. The ghoul has a save of 16. Nope. The ghoul fails, turning to stone. Leaving just Lizelle remaining. How do I want to do this? What makes sense? Okay, this is what we'll do. Since Lizelle's paralyzed, presumably dead, the cockatrice is going to do another morale check to see if it sticks around or leaves. 6, 7, 8. That is a failure. So with that, the cockatrice is going to limp off out of the chamber to lick its wounds. So we'll remove that from play. It is now somewhere else in the dungeon. And with that, Lizelle will wake up, fortunately for her, as the paralysis wears off. Seeing the ghoul turn to stone next to her, she looks around, doesn't see the other cockatrice. So that she gets up and she decides, as much as she would like to search the rest of this dungeon, she's gonna have to retreat to see if she can't find help for her friends who are petrified. She's not strong enough to carry them out of here, so she's gonna have to go find help or buy some potions. So before that, she's gonna search these corpses to see what we find. And looking around, she sees that there is a barrel in the corner, as well as 2 brass candelabras, which may be worth something. So let's go ahead and roll on the loot table. Okay, so after Lizelle searches the corpses of the monsters and looking through the cockatrice's nest and the barrel, she makes a miraculous loot find. She finds quite a lot. The ghoul was carrying a +1 large shield worth a decent amount of money. She also found a piece of eyewear. It's called the lens of ultraviolet vision. I'm guessing that some sort of see in the dark type of thing, worth 5.4K in gold. She also found banded mail, +1 banded mail, worth 4.2K gold. Also great. Then she found a total of 29 gold pieces, 5 platinum pieces in the barrel, and cutting open the ghoul to see what it's been eaten, she found 4 black star sapphires worth 5 gold pieces each, which was an incredible find. And then lastly, there was 2 blue quartz in the cockatrice nest. So, all told, she found quite a lot of valuable items in this chamber alone. She should be able to find or purchase 2 potions to bring them back from being turned to stone. Easy enough, hopefully. So with that, she gathers up all that loot, and she's going to make her way out of the dungeon back to the city to try and save her friends. Unfortunately, as she's the only one who made it out of the dungeon alive, she gets all the XP, which accumulates to a total of 2,334 XP to Lizelle. So with that, she will make her way out of the dungeon to find some potions, maybe an extra hand to back her up, to come back and save her friends. And so with that, we will end the session here, and see where the story goes from here on the next video. If you would like to see more or help out the channel, I am now getting or allowed to get memberships. So if you'd like to maybe become a character in the story, go ahead and apply for the membership. A $5 will get you a named character in one of my games. So if you'd like to do that, check it out. And thanks for watching.